My story, having a near-death experience when I was 16 years old, back in 1980. I want to say that, first of all, I grew up in a Christian household. Ministers, prophets, pastors. My mother was a pastor and a prophet. For many years, until she passed away in 2021. And growing up in a religious household, I was taught about the Bible that when people die, the dead is just sleeping in Christ. Or the dead is just dead, and there is no conscience, and there is no memory. And for that reason, I know that's the reason why most of us fear death, because we're afraid of the unknown. So I started watching videos and movies about NDE. Which really mean near-death experiences. People that have died, crossed over to the other side, and came back to tell exactly what they saw. And when I was 17 years old, I had heart trouble really badly for many years, where I could be talking and walking normally, and one day I just stop all of a sudden in the middle of my walking, and my chest would pain so badly that I couldn't even breathe. And sometimes I come to near blacking out. And my mom took me to the hospital, and the doctor said, well, my rib cage was pressing into my heart, that I think my heart was enlarged or something like that. Can't remember exact words, but that my chest cage was pressing into my heart. And I know that they had also said I was born prematurely. My mother carried me for only 6 months, and I had a hole in my heart, the doctor said. And so I always had this chest pain real badly. So at the age of 16, I remember asking God, what was it like to die? I didn't know anything back then about NDEs, near-death experiences, none of that. Never heard anything about it. So I asked God all the time. I prayed, I said, what is it like to die? Because I knew or felt that one day I would die because of the heart issue that I had. And I remember going to sleep one night, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I sat on the edge of the bed, and I looked around the room, and there was a night light plugged in the wall. So I could, even though the room was dark, with the night light, I could still see. I could see the furniture, I could see the floor, I could see the drapery. The window, etc. And I didn't understand what had jolted me to wake up. So I looked around the room, and as I looked behind me, I saw my body lying on the bed. And it shocked me and kind of frightened me. And I'm thinking to myself, my body, why is my body lying on the bed, but I'm sitting up? This is me here. And it was a weird feeling. I remember saying to myself how weird I felt, but at the same time, I understood that I had left my body. Now, I don't know if I had died in the middle of the night or what transpired for my soul to, leave my body. So immediately, frightened, I laid back down inside my body. I had the feeling to just lie back down. And I did, I lied back down. After that feeling, and knowing that God had showed me what it was like to die, that I was still myself, I was still normal, I felt the same, I didn't feel anything different, I didn't feel weird or anything like that, except for being frightened after seeing my body lying on the bed. So years later, coming up to now, the last couple of years, I started watching movies and videos about near-death experiences. I said, oh wow, I can kind of relate, even though I didn't travel anywhere. Once I left my body, I didn't go to a heaven or a hell. I didn't go anywhere. I just sat up in the room. But hearing others talk about their near-death experiences, I said, yeah, okay, that's what happened to me. That's what it was. That's what I had. I believe maybe my heart had stopped in the middle of the night, or whatever the case may have been. But that happened to me. And with that being said, that gives us a little bit of hope. In the middle of all this pain and grief that we're feeling about losing someone, that gives us a little bit of hope that that person is still alive on the other side. That life is after death. There is life after death. That the soul lives on. It does live on. Now, where we go individually, that's another thing. But to know that, yes, we do still live on after this body, that the only thing that dies is the body. And once you leave the body, your spirit is still you. You're still the same. You are you. And so, with all that being said, with grief, this should help a lot of people bear and go through the grief, because you have that hope of knowing my loved one is okay. My loved one is fine. My loved one is still alive, just on the other side, and probably with me, still with me, and watching over me. So I appreciate all the near-death experience stories. I appreciate watching the videos. I appreciate watching YouTube videos on near-death experiences and other places, like I said, movies or what have you. But knowing that I had a similar experience, like I said, I don't know if I can call it near death. I don't know if my body died, but I know my spirit left my body. And again, as I said, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, feeling normal, didn't feel weird, didn't feel mysterious like a ghost or anything. I didn't feel anything, didn't even feel pain. I was just sitting on the side of the bed wondering what had awakened me. And I looked over and I saw my body. The body was still lying there, just lying there like it was asleep. And like I said, I remember thinking to myself, how could that be me when this is me right here? And instantly, out of fear, I do remember the fear that came upon me was that if I didn't lie back down in my body immediately, the body would die. And I would never be able to get back inside. That was the fear that I was feeling at the time. And I remember feeling that. And that's why I immediately knew to just lie back down inside my body right away, because I didn't want the body to die. And so, like I said, even then, I had no idea about near-death experiences. I didn't even know anything about near-death experiences. I hadn't seen any movies on it, hadn't read any books on it, hadn't heard any testimonies about it or anything. And so when it happened to me, I said, okay, I can relate. This is what it's like. So if this is any consolation, hopefully to people, like I said, who are grieving, just a little consolation of knowing that your loved one is fine. They're still alive. They're still who they are, and they still know who you are.